Hello, everyone. Welcome and welcome to the reading today. So, if you want to skip to the card shuffling and pick a pile, feel free to do that. I'll leave a timestamp because I'm just going to talk a little bit about what's happening or what I see that's happening in the world and, something to assist with this reading. However, your message will really be in the pick a pile. The reason why I am able, I feel, to be able to do 3 piles for the readings today is because of the way we are all we're always on different paths, I feel, individually in the lives as a human. However, I don't know, things feel like we're really starting to go on quite unique paths. Maybe not exactly 3, maybe there's going to be probably more, maybe less, who knows. However, it does feel like while we might be even standing next to someone, we might be in 2 different, almost like layers of reality, right? Depending on where we put our focus into. And if you're someone who's watching a lot of TV or a lot of like news, or even a lot of like one-sided or polarizing kind of like TikToks or videos and things like that, you'll probably be able to see things very differently to people who are just focusing on different things, right? Better or worse, I don't know. It depends on where you want to put your focus. If that's where you want to put your focus, then put it there. But if it's draining and you're feeling tired constantly, or just in fear or shock or dismay, then turn it off. You don't need to be focusing in on it. You already know what's happening. You don't need to be in it 24/7. Excuse me. So what I wanted to kind of excuse me. Okay. What I wanted to talk about today was just something that's been happening here. I live in Brisbane. We just had a cyclone Alfred come through. It took a while to come through. Kind of sat in the water and just like bobbed around for a bit, and then came through. It was supposed to come through on like a Wednesday, and ended up coming through on like a Saturday, which caused a whole lot of damage and trees falling and roofs being ripped off, and now flooding is still happening. We've still got some wet weather, but it's pretty much dissipated or gone. The cyclone, it's just like the aftermath. So this area of, I don't know, Australia is prone to floods. It's like building houses on swampland, right? It's kind of like, well, these were floodplains. So if you build houses on floodplains, they get flooded. So some suburbs and places are just prone to it. And it doesn't make it better or worse. I mean, there's been some damage. There's been lots of people going out and still driving in flooded areas instead of staying safe, right? And so they've had to be rescued and stuff like that. So even with all the news and like updates and stuff, people still don't really listen. So they've had some stuff happen, but I don't believe there's been a lot of deaths. There's just been a lot of damage. So I guess we can see that as like a silver lining, right? Could have been. I feel like it could have been worse, but depending on if your house is flooded enough, you can probably see that with like through different eyes. From where I am, we had wind and rain and power outages for about a day, less than a day really. So that was, that was fine. Like we prepared for it. Had to cook up a whole lot of stuff from the freezer once the power came back on because it had defrosted, and so actually made a really good meal. So it was good in that sense anyway. But that brings us back, like, then after the floods, because we were like, where I live, we were just watching the news, and the news had like updates and stuff, right? And so I wasn't tiled into it the whole time because there was a lot of fear even around that. It was just like, make sure you've got this if you don't have this, and then panic in stores and toilet paper disappearing. It was like COVID again. It was just, I don't know, it was just a bit much. And I feel like that was really important for people in areas where it was coastal, but sometimes in like the highlands and stuff, or like the more inland, I don't know, it felt like it just felt a little bit fear-based. It felt too fear-based. Because even some of the reporters and stuff were in like the worst areas. So it was good to see the actual damage, because then we get a realization of, okay, these people need assistance or help, or like, you know, need to not go driving and that kind of thing, which I feel like most people should have done anyway. But, you know, hopefully everyone's doing fine. Some people are still without power. The power company is doing a lot, I feel, because I expected to have power outage for at least 2 days or more, and it was back on pretty quick, I felt. So I was like, oh, okay, because, you know, they're more working on areas where there's hospitals and that kind of thing, which makes sense. So I was like, I'm fine with not having power. If like, I'd rather, you know, the hospital have power than a residential area, even though it was affecting me, right? It's like, what's more important? Probably the people that need assistance rather than someone who's just going to go online. But anyway, got power back on. Still was able to stream yesterday and do a collective reading, even if it was quite wet. It's eased up a little bit now, which is good for this area because it is prone to flooding. And I know some streets and areas will be flooded because that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is around here. Anyway, how does that all tie into this reading? I mean, this reading is going to be really like your update, and this is your human life update. We're not going to get like a higher, like kind of like, it's going to be a reading from higher beings, right? Or from like a higher purpose type message. However, this is like on the ground. I want like a practical kind of like human idea of where we're at in our progress. And this isn't just all humanity. This is going to be more for you. So you're going to be picking the pile based off whatever you decide's right for you, right? And then listening to the pile and see what resonates and taking what resonates and leave what doesn't. That kind of vibe as always. I think that's basically it. But I hope that makes sense now. So this is coming from an earthly perspective, because we're getting a lot of the higher stuff, which is like, you know, this is how things are supposed to be. I've been watching a few, and then the beings, the higher beings, are just like, you know, this is how we get change, and it makes sense. We couldn't get change if we just kept doing the same thing that we're always doing, right? The same kind of people, the same kind of mentality. Now it's shaking stuff up, and not just in one place or one country. It's shaking stuff up in all sorts of different countries, which is not always good, but that's how death, rebirth happens, through huge shifts and changes, through kind of like force. So while it can be kind of scary in some part, it's more about the uncertainty. If we pull things back into us and start to rely on ourselves to be able to create and improve and work together, that's where we're going to find improvements from my perspective. If you're relying on someone else to determine who you are, or how you live, or how much you can have of this, that, and the other, then we're giving our power away. This is a time, from, again, my perspective, that is about community and not just ourselves. It's relying on ourselves, but we're working together, if that makes sense. It's not like before where we just relied on one source to do everything for us, or like not really do everything, but dictate our, you know, like rules and regulations, and we kind of slotted in there. And not everyone did that anyway, but that was kind of like the medium, right? For most people could fit in that for whatever reason. And then whoever was at the top was kind of dictating or telling what's what. Funny saying dictating, because that's kind of like how some of the leaders are acting, right? It's like, this is how we live, this is right, this is wrong, and that's it, where it's not very free. Where's the kind of like creative freedom type aspects in life. So I do feel like a lot of people, while we're seeing certain things out there that don't align with like how we feel we're going, that's probably true. It doesn't mean it disappears. It's still there in the reality, but we no longer rely on it for our fulfillment, our purpose, our meaning in life. Okay, now we'll get into the reading. So I'm going to pick 3 piles for you today. Take whichever one resonates with you. or choose by the stone that you feel called to. Okay, I'm gonna take this one for pile 1. Okay. Pile 2 and pile 3 is this one. All right, I'll tell you which card's which, and then you can pick whichever one calls to you, or just try to even them out a bit. We were quite lucky here to not get too much rain, not too much wind, but it's still like around the areas are still flooded. Okay, let's have a look. So for pile number 1, you have Selenite, Purity, Healing, and Clarity. For pile number 2, you have the Zebra Jasper, Drive, Action, and Boldness. And for pile number 3, you have the Lapis Lazuli with Self-Discovery, Wisdom, and Mysticism. Okay, so pick whichever one calls to you. If you want to look at more, go for that as well. You know, it's really up to you how you take these readings, but I'm going to try to ground this into the earthly experience and where we're going as this incarnation, as this human that we're in. Where are things projected to be for our path? Not just for everyone else's, but for our specific path, because it'll help, you know, you in the now understand maybe how things are unfolding. Okay, I'll see you in your reading. Hello, part 1. Welcome to your reading. So you've chosen Selenite. Really nice crystal here. This must be a raw piece, because I have a piece of Selenite here, which is massive. So it's kind of interesting. It's got like, you can see through it on this end and not through this, like, you know, it's an interesting square. It's an interesting little cube. But Selenite, on the back of the card, it says Purity, Healing, and Clarity. This is going to be a reading around, like, it's kind of like, we know we love the news, right? So this is going to be a news update for your life right now, for your surroundings, your maybe even a more expanded, but really I'm trying to pull this into your life. So maybe it's not something that you're going through now, maybe it's something to come, maybe it is talking about now, we'll see, whatever. I'm just going to leave it quite open, but this is like the human update, your human update. Maybe that's what I'll call this video. So you've got the air element in the crown chakra, which is like information, right? It's like the top. It's the one that's right at the top of our head. So I'll read a little bit of this. Selenite is believed to cleanse and recharge people, spaces, and even other crystals. It is said to be the perfect ally when dealing with energy blocks, anxiety, limiting energies, for keeping energy constantly light and flowing. Selenite has become an essential tool for practices such as aura cleansing and Reiki. Yeah, I mean, it's a really nice crystal. I mean, as you can see, I have that huge piece. And I quite like it. Like, it's a, you know, it's gives you that ease of breath. And it's interesting saying that ease of breath because I'm listening to a mantra which has been up for like 2 years now. It's had 3.8 million views. It's really, really nice. Anyway, it's called Prana Apana, and it says it's called the magical healing mantra to remove negative energies. So always a good one. Okay, so I've got a lot of cards here today, so I've grabbed the smaller tarot. I've got like a mini deck, and we'll see what wants to come through today. Take these ones. And yeah, hopefully all your, you know, the start of the year has gone well for you. I know it's kind of wacky on the outside, but how is it going for you this year? How are you feeling? Not so much about the outside world, but how are you feeling about you? because hopefully with this energy coming through, this will be like your pick-me-up. We're talking about this energizing crystals and stuff, but also ourselves, right? Remembering who we are. Okay, I think I'm going to grab this one. Take this one. I'm going to pull the oracle first. Interestingly enough, these are older cards of mine. This is my deck, which is new. This is a very new deck. But these oracle, not so much these two, but these two are like an older deck. Really nice cards too. I think these two are made by the same person, Carl Gray. I think I can grab 3, right? Yeah. All right. I'll take these 3 cards and we'll start. Okay, part 1. First card is the Savior and Dandelion. Hidden powers, gentle and attraction. This is really nice. I want to get into it, but I won't. These are very soft energies. Like the Selenites are very soft rock, right? On the Mohs scale, it's quite low. I'm pretty sure it's like maybe a 2 or a 3. I'm not sure. Which just means like the softness of it. You know, a diamond's quite high. I think it's a 10. And then we go all the way down to like talc, which is like a 1, I think. It's like super soft. And just break it up with your hand. So this feels like that's kind of soft energy. You also have Mercury open communication. This says down the bottom, get a weight off your chest, speak up with love and be heard. Ooh, yeah, that makes sense with this one. You also have Commander Ashtar with call to action. Take charge, lead by example, walk your talk. I was going to say walk your truth. And I feel like that could be really true with this card, speak your truth. Speak it and walk it. Be one and the same. What you do is what you say. It's like when sometimes you see people commenting something really shitty on someone's post and then you go to their profile and it'll be like, love and peace. And I'm like, you're not living what you're talking. You're getting in like intertwined and projecting your own bullshit out onto people, right? Do you call it out or just leave it? It's just like, I see it and I'm like, you know, move on. There's obviously something behind there that don't need to get involved with. You've got Sirius, star blessings, yes, proceed, be seen, push through. Wow, you're getting a lot of like masculine energy. It's almost like this came through with like soft energy. The masculine isn't necessarily hard. It's not like hard and soft, right? Of the feminine's the soft. But this does feel like coming from a place of heart by transforming that idea of heart, right, into something that I guess forces you or pushes you to take a stance, make a point, be seen, be heard, not just sit in the background and just hope that things work out, right? This is like you deciding your future rather than letting it be decided for you. I was going to say let it unfold, but that didn't feel right. Decided for you feels right. And you've also got the Earth activation with anchoring, grounding, and Isis energy. Earth Star activation. Earth Star is like so you're getting something from the crown and then all the way down to the Earth Star, which is, you know, if you go by chakras, it's supposed to be below your feet, so outside of the body, and it's what is anchoring us to this planet, I guess you could say, or the energy that's outside of our body that's in the 3D. Okay, you've got the kiss. Interesting, it's 2 hands being held, not actually a kiss. I don't know, it's just interesting. You've got the offering, so you've got more hands. You also have the eternal child. I feel like this is talking to your soul self, and even the Sirius could be you could identify with the Sirius planetary kind of like, what do you call it? I can't think right now, but it's like, you know, that section of the sky. The Eternal Child is just doubling it down with Sirius star blessing. Overall, like if I wanted to pull it back to like the meaning of the reading, where you're currently going, it feels like you're unfolding yourself or unraveling in a way. And you can see that in, you know, if someone says that, oh, this person's unraveling, you can see it in a negative stance. But if someone's unfolding or unraveling in another way, they could be, instead of wrapping themselves up with a whole lot of like falsities or just like cover, this is like the true self coming through. You can see that sometimes, you know, how people say, oh, this is their true self because when they're drunk, they speak their truth. No, they're inebriated, right? They're not speaking the truth. They're speaking stuff that's flying around their head, which some may be true, some may not be. But it doesn't mean it's necessarily the truth. So this is coming out in a way that's within your capability, your power, and it comes from the heart and it comes from truth. And I say that because this card here, your hidden powers, this is you understanding who you are, where you are, and why you're here. This could be unfolding. So this feels like a really good path to be on for you. You might become more and more agitated by certain things and think, well, how is that a good thing? It's a message to speak up, speak your truth, not to snap. And like, if someone gives you like flack or something, then you give it back, right? It's not this like Five of Swords kind of energy of I win, you lose, and who can make each other cry first. It's not that kind of shit, right? It's not that. You know, people are like that. It doesn't mean you have to take it, but it doesn't also mean you have to lower your energies into that vibration and start fighting in that energy, right? Rise above it. It's really much better, much easier, and less stress than you would think to, you know, fight in that kind of energy. Definitely here for a human experience, right? This Earth Star activation, Isis energy, grounding actions, choosing, making choices that are from the heart, and also when you know you're exhausted or out of energy, to remove yourself from situations that are constantly draining is going to be very important moving forward. The people that are important to you, those are the ones that, you know how some people say, I would die for this person, or I would kill for this person. It's like, why won't you just live for this person? Why won't you just, you know, love for this person, right? You know what I mean? It's like, why do we have to go to the extremes all the time? We get the sentiment. It's just like, it's supposed to be like a nice sentiment of, I'll always be there for you, that kind of thing. But it doesn't have to be spoken in such a way. So this kind of feels like, who's important to you? How can you help? And how can they help you? Have you reached out to people recently, especially that have either going through challenges or anything like that? If you don't have the energy, don't do it. You're not forcing yourself to do anything. This is like natural flow, but with these cards, walk your talk, speak up, proceed, you know, these push through. This is like, keep going, because whatever is happening at this moment is the start of change. It's that beginning. It's kind of like when you apply for a school or something like a university, and you get in, and then that's the beginning, right? It's like, oh wow, I'm moving out of home, or maybe, you know, whatever. I'm going to potentially lose or leave friends who are no longer accessible daily, let's say, or accessible often. You know, all sorts of things are starting to change. What about this? What about that? So it's like kind of like that build up of worry and fear, but also excitement, right? It's like, it's a lot of energy. That's why we need rest. That's why we need grounding. Meditation is going to be super important. I don't care how you do it. You could do it by walking around in nature, but if that's just like an excuse and you're not really getting into that modality or that mindset or that connection with source, then do traditional meditation. You know, this is going to be a time where you really need to step up with your practices of self-care, or mindfulness, if you want to call it that. This is in your place, like the offering here. There's two sides to this. One is a gift that's coming through to you, and it's talking about, it's already, actually, you've already got it. It's just like turning it on. It's kind of like, you know, how a lot of our DNA scientists will say is junk. It's kind of like some of that junk being turned on and stimulated, and it's like, oh, I can see things completely differently than how I did before. That's kind of like the offering. This is like an offering to turn on the switch. On the other side of this, it's not for you to have to feel like you need to get involved or need to get kind of like help people that don't want to be helped, right? It's kind of like people that maybe it's like a family member who's getting very kind of like left or right or whatever you want to call it, like just very polarizing, and are going through that cycle and need to break. And whenever you go out with them, they're constantly talking about this, that, or the other. That doesn't really matter. It's not actually affecting their life in this moment. It may be in some way. It's 100% in their head, right? It is affecting them, but it may not be in their physical. So this is kind of like, do you need to get involved with that? Do you need to be the one that kind of helps them through? No. Like, ultimately, no. They got to go through their own process and learn their own things. So cutting cords, maybe even people just leaving life, right? Like, not leaving the planet, but like leaving your group, or just don't feel resonant anymore. Don't be afraid of that. This is the shift and the change. At a soul level, like if we go step all the way back out, at a soul level, this is an experience that we're going through. This is like going to Disneyland or something, right? We decide what rides we go on. We've already pre-planned. Let's say we line up. It's boring most of the time because we're just lining up, and then we get like a thrill, and then, you know, then we do something else. That's kind of like how it's feeling. It's like a day on Earth, which is like a whole lifetime here of like, you know, 70, 90, whatever years we decide to live for. But it's just an experience where the eternal kind of like learns and grows through us being here and making decisions and choices. Ultimately, it feels like as long as we are choosing things from our own truth and doing those things and not just talking about them, like both, and speaking up to the people that we need to speak up to and say what we need to say to them, that's where you continue to be on this path of, I guess you could say it's like if you wanted to black and white paint it as a more positive experience or a more negative, this is like the one that leads you to the more positive. Because like even the kiss kind of reminds me of a quick kind of like appreciation, right? Something short and sharp like this. If you're getting really into your head about what's happening in the world, this is a very temporary thing. And I'm sure you want to argue it, right? If you want to, and you want to save these people and do that, that's your choice. You can absolutely do that. The reading's not saying to do that, but that's the beauty of free will, is we can be told something and still do it anyway. You know, it's like, don't hang off that cliff because you could slip and fall. And people do it anyway, and they slip and fall. It's you know, it's really your choice. If you do slip and fall and you go up on that cliff, if it's coming from your truth and you're following actions that you feel driven to, not by fear, not by scarcity, not by worry, not by like, you know, me, then perfect. Then that feels like that's resonant with you. But if it feels like it's out of fear, I've watched Wife Swap UK, and one woman, like the wives, I guess one woman was like very lax, and she smoked in the house and did all sorts of like, you know, just like kids run wild. The other one was very strict, and then at the end, the husband and wife that was with the strict kind of life, they said like, what did you grow and learn from? Do you still think this is the best way? And she was like, yeah, because I work in a correction facility. I know what happens when there's no law and order. I don't want them to turn out like that. That sounds good in the sense of like structure, but it also is based on fear, right? She's doing something which may feel right and a majority of people may think is better than the other, but it's still based on fear. And fear will always teach you a lesson. So you can helicopter parent your kids all you want. You can't be with them 24/7, nor should you. and they're going to learn and grow and make mistakes. So, you know, just take that as like, take that with a grain of salt. But if if you feel like this, that, or whatever's right, ask yourself, are you doing this? Are you doing A, B, C due to fear, or are you doing it from love? Because that will help you understand why and what you're doing, and if it's within your best interest or if it's purely out of worry or fear. Okay. Let's grab some. I can grab 6, I think. Got the Ace of Swords. This is exactly what I've been talking about. It's focusing in on the mindset. You're kind of like unraveling the mind and also unraveling yourself as at the moment. And when we're, like I said, when we're unraveling, if we're focusing on the outside world that's unraveling as well, it can be too much. So focus on what's happening to you. That doesn't mean anyone else owes you anything or needs to do anything. This is just for you to understand you. Okay, what else we got? The King of Wands. I love this because the King of Wands to me is like uniqueness. He's him being him unapologetically. Because I know there's some people that are getting certain things happen to them in like the United States, right? I saw people's passports being changed, their gender markers and things like that. And while that's really, feels like we're taking steps back, it does feel like we will be taking steps back as a global kind of like view, but it's to get us 2.5 steps forward. So we're not reversing, we're not reverse driving. That to me kind of feels like our learning now. Just because this document tells me who I am, that doesn't tell me who I am. I know who I am inside. I know who I am, and you don't have to be going through that kind of like situation to understand it and appreciate it and learn from it. Like it's an opportunity to grow and not rely on a government or an organization. I know there's like a lot of ifs, ands, or buts with like certain healthcare and all sorts of other stuff that comes along with that. But ultimately, no one really tells you who you are unless you believe what they're telling you, but you know who you are inside. Ooh, 7 of Pentacles. Yeah, it's going to take some time to unfold, but if you're unfolding and growing, then isn't that a good thing? Regardless of what, if we like, this isn't going to be a quick fix. We're literally at the beginning, which may take years to unfold. You and also things happening in the world. So, take it day by day, step by step. I've also got the Emperor. Interesting with the Emperor and the King of Wands. There's this like passionate, fiery, strength, right? Empowerment within self, and there's the stability. So I don't know, if you feel like you're a person who's super stable, which kind of feels like that, right? And then when we get put into a shake-up, it can be like, whoa, 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 whoa. I feel unstable. Then get stable, right? Do the things, do the practices, get in touch with self that help you get connected basically within yourself. To get clear on the situation, to speak truth clearly, and take a path that may be something that yourself a year ago would have been super scared or fearful of. This might be the time to really break free and break some shackles that were holding you down. This could be super good for you. It's just unfortunate sometimes that it comes through in these ways. But I've been seeing comments in online posts and stuff where they're starting to see that as well. They're like, I see this as a good thing. It's unfortunate it has to come in this shitty way, but it's getting people or countries or places to start thinking differently and be like, oh, we've been relying on this too long, and now it's starting to change. And it can cause fear, but it's like, good. Things were working in a way, in like good enough kind of way, but now we're really starting to see things grow and change and really work, right? So yeah, it's tough when it feels like we're going backwards, but stay sovereign within your own self. That's really important for you, for your reading, part 1. Yeah, you've got this push through, right? You've got the Nine of Wands. When you need time, take some time and rest. You're not here to do, like, it's not the best thing, but you're not here to just keep doing things. You're here also to do things, but also to enjoy rest, to have some fun. Don't, because things are going crazy in other places or we're getting caught up in things, don't feel bad about letting yourself have a rest, have a nice day, go to a nice hotel, get a massage, whatever it is for you, give that to yourself. Let yourself enjoy this as well. Yeah, because you're moving up. You're on a really good path. I'm going to say this. This pile, I didn't read the other piles, obviously, because they go in order. But this pile, you got the Hierophant at the end. This is going to give you a whole new lease on life, it feels like. This path that you're on may be challenging and troubling, but what is it shaking up and awakening within you? Is it forcing you to start speaking truth and walking your talk, right? Living your truth, authentic self out, because you're going to get to a point where there's stability. You're going to be exhausted from it, of course, but you're going to see the light in this card. This doesn't feel like the traditional Hierophant, right? Laws and orders by the church. This kind of feels like enlightenment through self-awareness and self-awakening. No one's going to awaken you, you awake yourself, and that's exactly the same for everyone else. You might already have some kind of awakening, things in progress or already completed, right? Or however it works. I don't think it's just one thing that has a set time frame, but whatever, they have to, like, just as much as you have to awaken yourself ultimately, and people can assist, same with other people that you might be helping. They ultimately have to decide. It reminds me of like a I think it was like this giraffe or something had injured itself, and so these documentary people put it down, right? It was because it was like humane, because it was like going to die of starvation anyway. And a lion or whatever came around, sniffed it, could probably smell the gunpowder or whatever, and went away because, they felt like this was dangerous. This is like a trick or a trap. And so they left it, when really it would have been like a good meal, right? Giraffe, pretty massive beast thing. But anyway, like, not that that's really anything. It's just like, the human was like, well, there's food there, what's the problem, type thing. But the person has to make the decision, just like the lion had to make the decision. Was it the right one for itself? Maybe it felt like it was, and maybe it's learned through human interactions, and that was what it knew. But we're kind of like breaking off that old shell and starting to really see things for what they are. Okay, I feel like if I talk anymore, it'll just be gobbledygook. But you're on a good path. You're on the path of not so much a savior, but like an unfolding human being on this planet. I tried not to keep it too much in the sky, but like, this is it. Like, you're obviously potentially not from here, or you've come to this planet not so much to get stuck into the humanness of like the cycling and needing to cycle in here. You might be doing a job and then getting out after this. And I think a lot of starseeds now, looking at how things are probably pretty much like, yep, I cannot wait to finish my job here and then get out. You've got a lot of time and space to be able to still do what you're here to do. But you're already doing it. You're already on that path. You're already doing things correctly from what I can see in these cards. So be kind to yourself and don't be so heavy or hard on yourself if you don't do everything perfectly all the time. I say that also because we're coming into, especially if you go by tropical, there's an eclipse in a few days, which is the lunar eclipse, and it's in Virgo. And the shadow side of Virgo is kind of like anxiety and stress, right? Of not being able to do things perfectly. Doing things like 99% is not good enough. Nitpicking and getting too much into the details and not seeing the bigger picture. I can say that as a Virgo sun, so, what can I do? But anyway, it does look really, really, really good. So yeah, I'm going to leave that there for you, pile one. Hopefully this helps. Thank you so much for letting me talk, and hopefully you enjoyed the reading. Feel free to comment if you have any questions, like if you have enjoyed the video. Otherwise, take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time. Hello, welcome, pile number 2. Welcome in, hopefully you're doing well. You've chosen the Zebra Jasper today. Remember, this is a reading. This is like a human update. Like, this is your human update reading. So you've chosen something with like a lot of, I don't know, it just feels like pride. Like there's something like a lot of like power behind it. The Zebra Jasper is touching in on drive, action, and boldness, elementy, earth element, and the root chakra. So I'll read a little bit of it. Zebra Jasper acts as a motivator, pushing us to move past lethargy and take action. It reminds us not to overthink things and encourages us to enjoy the simple moments in life. Love that. Known as the anti-apathy stone, it becomes a helpful companion for those dealing with procrastination or feeling stuck in a slump. Now we've got just with that one card, we've got a lunar eclipse coming up. And it does touch into, it's going to be, if you go by tropical, it's going to be in Virgo. And the shadow side of Virgo is stress, anxiety, worrying about like the details, right? It's like, or feeling like they're not enough. It's like 99% is not good enough. I want 100%. We can't always get there. So this is kind of like letting ourselves off the hook, and like it said here, enjoying the simpler times. So you might be activated. Have a look at where it's sitting in your house, where the moon's going to be, which house the moon's going to be sitting in, maybe. I'm not too sure. I'm not an astrologer, but just like it popped in my head, and I was like, have a look at like how it's looking. Maybe watch someone else who is good with astrology, right? That you trust with the astrology, whether it's sidereal or like whatever. Just to get some kind of insights. Where is it activating in your chart? Because that could speak to not just the shadow side of it, but also the light side of it as well. Might be just interesting to check in. For me, it's looking at communication in my 3rd house, so kind of like that kind of like path. So it'd be interesting to see how that, and it's also in my sun, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. No, I want these ones first. So we're looking at your path as well. I gave all these a good shuffle before, and so that's why I can pick them out quite quickly, just so you know. Yeah, I'm going to take both of these. A few different decks. These are Carl Gray's cards. These two. These are like some older cards that I've had, and by older I mean like at the start of my card reading journey, I guess you could say. These were cards that I was drawn to. Some of his cards. He is I think he's Scottish. I can't remember. Scottish spiritualist, I guess you would say. Focuses mostly in on the angelic side, and the rest of the cards are just other cards. And obviously these ones are mine. Okay. All right, let's take a look at your cards. Just trying to find space. I don't have a Zebra Jasper to show you, but quite clearly white, black stripes, right? Just like a zebra. All right, so you've got the Father and the Soul Crystal dedication, loss, and heart space. Yeah, your update. It's an interesting one with this card first, because the story behind this card is a father who has got a son who's super ill, right? And he wants to save him, which is fair enough. And so he kind of like has a way of crystallizing him. I didn't really feel how that worked, but I don't think it was the point. It was just like he kind of puts him into a stasis, right? Like, you know how on sci-fi movies where they get put in like a pod and then they're supposed to get out on the planet and then wake up. it's kind of like that. He gets put into, like, gets crystallized, and then he goes everywhere. And, you know, long story short, he travels pretty much the entire world, and that's been his mission. And he comes to the point of acceptance where he has to let go of his son, because, you know, there's no way of overcoming it. And he's gone through heaven and hell to try to do this, and it eventuates into acceptance. However, it's kind of like, well, then he could have just not done that and accepted it, right? But he had to go through that process. He had to go through the feeling of trying to do everything he could. So the strength hasn't come from, for you anyway, and maybe in this point in time, or maybe in the future, the strength within you hasn't been just like automatic, right? You've gone through, I always say you go through the opposite to understand the benefit of the positive of real strength. Sometimes people get treated like crap, and where they are not allowed to speak, and their issues are minimized. And then an empowerment point, what might be like, I understand what it's like to be squashed. When people come at me, I'm not going to attack them, but I'm not going to let myself be made small by anyone else's voice, anyone else's threats or pressure, right? I'm going to be exactly who I am. On the flip side, people can get to the opposite and start attacking people before even someone shows up, right? They're already attacking someone, and they may not have done anything. They might have just walked through the door. So it's trying to find that balance and understanding, but this is where this comes from. This is like going through the hardship or the challenge to come to an acceptance and realization and growth and learning. So you might be going through that, or have gone through that, which has given you now the strength to be able to face whatever's coming. Whatever is coming in your future or is happening now is not going to be as hard as what you've already experienced. That's kind of what is coming through right now. Oh, okay, interesting. This was in pile number 1. And again, this melds really well with this one, bold actions, right? You've got Commander Ashtar, which is call to action, take charge, lead by example, walk your talk. Yep. If you're going to say it, walk it. I see that too many times in comments and posts. It'll be like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're horrible, and they'll say like really shitty words, right? And then you go to the profile and says, I want everyone to have love and peace. And it's like, well, then walk and talk it, right? You don't always have to comment on everything. Walk and talk it. And so this is where this is kind of coming in. If you're going to say it, live it. Oh, this is interesting. These 2 cards came out in the first pile. The exact 2 cards. They came out in opposite ends though. It was like this and this were here, which is interesting when they came through, because I was thinking, oh, this would have suited this pile better, because this one was talking about that strong energy. But anyway, you've got Mercury. It's so interesting. Mercury with open communication. It says, get a weight off your chest, speak up with love, and be heard. So again, walk your talk and speak your truth. This is about authenticity. So I would say if you were interested in pile 1, this may be a very similar reading to that. So you also have the Order of Melchizedek. This is where your readings slightly deviating. I would say people who chose pile 1 and 2 are on a path of higher consciousness, right? Of collective love and care, as I would say. But anyway, Order of Melchizedek, embraced by light, missions uncovered, and don't give up. Yeah, you've come here for a purpose, and maybe you're questioning this world. Fair enough, this world is questionable. You've got solar light upgrade, solar plexus chakra, inner fire, and willpower. Wow, you're getting so many strong energies coming through. There is a slight difference, and this is where this deviation comes from. I feel like you have picked a path of, I don't know, it's kind of like going into an initiation or dealing with a higher being. So you might be in communion with a higher being at this time, or really having a fight with God or something like that, or source energy, right? Kind of like questioning the decisions that are being made. especially if you feel like that's made by another being, right? This is like we have our own choice, but like the way the path of the world's going may be in question. I would say it's fair to question it, but certain things are unfolding in time. The solar plexus is like that strength, right? That passion is coming through, that fire within is coming through, and it's through challenge and grief and loss in the past, and maybe still going through that in some way, and to empowerment. You've got the empty room. This feels like your time to shine for some reason. The empty room, it's like a space that's free of anything, and it's your, from now onwards, it's your decisions that, you know, you get to design the interior of your house. It's kind of like playing The Sims in a way, like, you know, you get to move things around and put things where they need to be. This is internally and externally. It feels like how the move forward's going to go. You have the forest as well. Interesting. I'm not too sure about the forest, actually. The only thing I'm kind of getting, which popped into my head and then vanished, was the forest is coming through because this is going to be a journey, right? It's going to be a journey into the unknown. You're not going to know what's in the forest. You know what a forest is, and it's not a jungle. It's not going to be absolutely bonkers, right? Of like all sorts of different things, or like overly dank. It's going to be dark, cold, and unknown, but there's going to be mostly known things. So it makes sense. I don't know. It's just like, to me, a jungle like Amazon would be wild because there's wild people in there. There's wild like insects, animals, things that are poisonous. Like there's a lot of stuff, right? And same with forest, but it seems like not as unknown. There seems to be like an idea of like, you know what to expect in a forest more than you would in the Amazon rainforest, right? I don't know if that makes sense, but that's just what's coming through. So I'd say with this one, you kind of know what to do, what's right, and what's to come. It's just like unsure how everything's going to actually play out. And here you've got the heart space. It looks like a little nest with like a little rowboat with people in it. It's really sweet. This is making choices from the heart, not making choices from the fear of the unknown. The unknown's coming. You can't design the room and it's going to be played out exactly how it's going to be played out, especially if you're not the only player in The Sims, right? If you've like got 4 people, I don't think this is possible in the game, but let's just say it is. You got 4 people trying to build a house on the same plot, and they all have different ideas of carpet and all that kind of thing. Having a structure is going to be fine, and that's what you can rely on, is the room is going to be there no matter what. So you're still going to have a place to stay, live, and be. But how it unfolds and what kind of paper and wallpaper and flooring and where the toilet's going to go, it's going to be what it's going to be. So try not to get too caught up into the finer details. Make sure the structure is sound, the foundations are laid, because that's what's important at this time. But it does look like overall with these cards, you're on a journey. It's going to be a journey. There's no easy and hard way of saying it. It's going to be good though to uncover who you are and why you're here and what you're doing on this planet at this time. And even this card kind of like touches into, it's like an awakening of yourself. You could say a full awakening, or literally an upgrade of the solar plexus chakra. Right, so we've got the 6 of Pentacles, kind of like the charity card. I'll take this one. Yeah, this one popped out in pile 1 too. Got the 9 of Wands and the 6 of Wands, right? Showcasing you, highlighting you, your needs, your desires, choosing things that feel pure and right to you. It's going to be a journey though. The 9 of Wands is a struggle, but it's not a struggle for less than. It's like a push towards what's right. But that does sometimes mean going against the grain, as it may feel. But really, that grain was wrong anyway. It wasn't right for you. You were following grain that wasn't right. This new path feels more authentic to you. Yeah, more free. You got the Page of Wands here. This feels like with these two, the spotlight, like she's performing and she's kind of being recognized, right? So there's this idea of being seen through passion, through drive, through fire. The Strength card, knowing who you are, uncovering who you are through strength, not through fear. Overcoming fear. Fear is going to be something that you do not rely on as a indicator of whether or not you should be or do something. And then we've got the Completion card. You've got the World card coming through at the end. So yeah, this is going to be you on a, it kind of feels like you're on a one-way mission kind of thing. Like not a one-way, but it's kind of like, you know, when it's a round circle, it is one way because it's like, this is just one line. It's just looping back. I don't know if this is like soon or anything like that, but it does feel like you're on a path where you get to express, be recognized, and it's not like through others' recognition. It's nice when others do, but it's through your own recognition of knowing who you are and what you're about. By living truly, by acknowledging the challenges of what you've been through, and by choosing from the heart and knowing that the journey may be difficult, but it's so worth it, right? This journey is going to be well worth it. It's going to open up your empathicness as well. This isn't just like you. This is like you for the purpose of being authentic, but it's going to open up your idea of empathy. It's going to be really interesting, especially if you are empathic. You might actually get an upgrade in the empathy. You might be like, oh, I'm already empathic. I'm already high in that. I can feel like there's something there that's going to be opened up even further, and you'll be like, oh, this is completely different. It's like on another level type thing. There's just something with that, which may drain your energy. It may take some time to adjust, but you know, it's happening anyway. Like this upgrade in this Order of Melchizedek, like this is why you came here, is to be in this moment, in this time. If you are getting distracted by the outside world, shut it out. You don't need to be focused so heavily on it. That doesn't mean isolate and hide away. It means focus on things that are important instead of giving your power away to things that are not. You're here to live through the heart space and realize that your heart was never the weakness. We can see the lamb as being a sign of fragility, right? But being a being who can support and love and care for that which we deem as weak or pathetic or useless, let's just say, is pure strength. It's not by someone telling you, oh, you have big muscles, or like you're strong because you can lift this, that, or the other. That's not strength. That's strength of like the body, which is temporary, which is fine. But inner strength is forever, right? That's the soul growth. That's for eternity, not just for 5 seconds in a perspective from a soul's lifetime, so to speak. All right. Okay, I think that's it. There's probably something here. You might want to do a meditation and connect with your higher self and ask about some of your missions that are coming through. Like it sounds kind of like a video game, right? Mission. And it kind of, I guess, is if we look at it, but this is just like purpose, something that's going to uplift you and help you, but it's going to come from accepting something as it is and making a decision that's based on what you feel is right, not so much what other people think is right and have told you this is right, right? This is coming from you, not based on fear, based off heart. You're on a journey of the heart. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there. Hope this has really helped you, pile number 2. It's a really nice reading. I enjoyed reading it. Hopefully you've enjoyed having this reading. Any messages or comments, or if you want to give this video a like, feel free to do that. I will leave you with love, and I hope this helps you. Okay? Thank you for letting me read for you. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Hello, hello, welcome to your reading pile 3. So this is your message around, I guess, your human update, right? Where's this path going in this lifetime, in this time at the moment? Where is it heading? What are you doing? Something to help you with dealing with the now. So you've chosen Lapis Lazuli. Interesting crystal, because this one looks purple to me, and I've never seen a Lapis Lazuli look like this, but hey, we'll take it. We'll trust that this is Lapis Lazuli. Self-discovery, wisdom, and mysticism. So it kind of feels like the woo-woo one. We'll have a look at what comes through. You're touching in on the water element and the throat and third eye. So Lapis Lazuli has even found its way into the Sistine Chapel, where Michelangelo ground it down to create a vibrant blue pigment. I feel like that vibrant blue pigment idea is also what the Egyptians used, right? For their kind of like eye makeup that the male and female hierarchy, I guess, used. It says, beyond its historical contributions, Lapis Lazuli is believed to elevate spiritual journey, kindle personal power, and foster profound self-awareness. So this could be a really good time for you to grow, especially if you've become stagnant or got into a routine of some sort. This is going to push you. Getting pushed. All right, let's see what's going to come through. Okie doke. So I'll grab some oracle cards and then we'll get started on the reading fully. Okay, these two cards came out really quick. We had the same two cards from the first pile and second pile from this deck here. So if it's the same again, I'm going to be like, everyone is on the same path that's getting this reading. These readings of mine only get like, I say only, it's not really only, right? Everyone that gets a reading is still going to benefit and hopefully get a message that helps them. But anyway, I would say everyone would be on, not the same, but a very similar, heading in a similar direction. It's the best way I can put it. But we'll see, because that was super surprising. Okay. I'm going to take this one, actually. Pop them back. All right, let's take a look at your Oracle cards, pile 3 of your human update, news update. All right, so you've got the Savior and the Dandelion, hidden powers, gentle, and attraction. So, you know, the Savior, this one was supposed to be like a lost Savior. The story behind him was, or her, there wasn't really a gender. But like they're kind of like wandering and they know they're on a path, but they are okay and allow themselves to take some time to smell the roses or smell the dandelions, right? To be able to just like enjoy what's around, kind of like experience it. They're not just like doing a job. They're not a robot that's come to Earth and like, and then finish the job and check out. No, this is like an experience, not just you know, someone could go to the same restaurant and they could experience the like lights, the like drinks, you know, the atmosphere, the company, the ambiance, like all that. And someone could go there just to get a meal and get out. You know what I mean? And neither is wrong or right. It's just like this energy is about experience. So make sure you're experiencing this time that you have here. Okay. Nope, different cards, good. You've got Ascension, so you know, this is like the spiritual one, right? This is move into your true self, rise above the darkness, let the light in. Oh, the light is here, sorry. Why did I say let the light in? Interesting. Take that with how that resonates. Let the light in could be like, allow yourself to be you by dealing with what's popping up into your mind. It might look like shadows, but to release some of the shadows will allow the light in. If you feel like you're having blocks, what's blocking it? It's not anything outside of you. It might have happened from something outside of you, but this is something that needs your attention at this time. Focus on your light, not so much your challenge. Why won't this light come through? How is it blocking it? what am I doing, or what is within me that needs like attention? It's not so much punishment or like criticism or ridicule. It's like, what is within me that needs attention, whether it's light or shadow? Oh, Melchizedek coming through. I will say this one popped up in pile 1, and this deck didn't, but there was the Order of Melchizedek in pile 2. So these readings are all different, but we are all on the same path. We're all on a higher kind of like path if you're getting these readings. And that's not to fill the ego, it's just to let you know that we're all headed in a similar direction, especially if you're getting these readings, right? If you're not, then you're not, and people that aren't wouldn't get a reading from me anyway. But this is like high praise or like good information for you to remember that just because things on the outside may look this, that, or the other, it helps us tap into our true selves and not worry or feel like the outside needs to tell us it's okay. We tell us we're okay because we check in with ourselves. Melchizedek, higher learning. It says here, you've learned from experience. More inner study is now required to further progress. I mean, this is ascension, really. You go through like an awakening of some sort, and we can think, now I'm fully enlightened, right? No, it's just like, it's like step by step by step by step. You've overcome something, you've achieved a goal, and now you're still continuing forward. More changes are coming for you. More changes are coming. Don't feel like it's too stressful. You know, you can handle it. You've had harder lifetimes before. Ooh, the great central sun. Interesting, right next to Serapis Bay, right? This kind of like Egyptian being. And then we've got the central sun and the scarab. It's just interesting. Abundance, downloads, regeneration, and success. Yeah, more good things coming through for you. You're going to really understand what abundance means in this lifetime for this human that you are. That's going to be almost like, no, not almost, it's going to be guaranteed. Like it's going to come through, and it's how to gain this, not so much for your own self, but how to live fully, I would say. Cool cards. Gaia Gateway activation, learning experience, which is doubled down by this card, higher learning, right? More learning is to come. Wisdom transmission, earth intelligence. You might be getting connection with your star being, star self as well. They might be hanging around. You might have your guides, low aliens hanging around. I don't know. It's not like, you know, in the 3D, so to speak, but they might be coming through and just sharing messages. There is this idea of this ancient Egyptian thing, which you might have had some connection with, like a spiritual being in those days, like a mystic or a priestess or something like that. It might have been one, you might have just followed one, you might have just seen one, right? Because no lifetime or soul or anything is more or less valuable than the other. No matter how much as humans we'd like to say these people are worthy and these aren't. The mask is shifting off. Got the mask. Yeah, this is going to bleed through a lot of truth. I think in your reality as well, just so you know, there's going to be more things that are coming off. We can see now falsities, fakeness so clearly because the people that are being fake and false are broadcasting it, right? They're just, it's proof. There's proof everywhere. And so I think that's going to continue to happen for darker shadow beings, because now they're feeling comfortable that, oh, I can just be dark in the light and no one's going to do anything about it. Well, no, but I'd rather have something that's like, personally, I'd rather have something that's like in the light so I can deal with it and see it for what it is, because then I can say, do I resonate with this or do I want to reject this? And you can reject it. So that's one side of it, and the other side is you're starting to come into your true self by going through these upgrades and ascensions, which really just means you're shifting higher and higher towards true self. The womb, yeah, so much like knowledge and growth. There's a lot of information coming through. You might be on a real fast track, which might be a little scary, but it feels good, right? It does feel good. I was listening to this um, message that a friend actually recommended, and it was from this woman who had like a spiritual awakening. It feels like, and she could connect with her Akashic records. She didn't even really understand what was going on, but she didn't die, but she had like almost like a near-death experience through anesthesia. She had no complications, but like she got up, she could see her body, and then she was kind of like in the space. And then afterwards, all these other things started to come through, and she could feel her connections. She could see past lives. She could understand purpose in life through herself, through her animals, their past lives. Like she could guess like what people were like. She could predict things, right? It's just like very quick and short, but it was like a strong energy that was coming through. So I could kind of relate to that. I didn't really do any of these kind of testing things. I should have done that. I just sat outside for like a month, like not like the whole month, but I would sit outside and just enjoy the plants and stuff as they were growing, and butterflies and insects and animals for hours. I was just sitting there. It was really weird, but I could kind of understand in some way. And so, you've got the seed and the womb. The womb and the seed, it's kind of like the egg, right? And then the womb is a place of growth, and the seed is what grows in there. So this is very much showing you the truth of light and shadow, the truth of masculine, feminine, the truth of this world. You're starting to see a whole lot of truth, which is going to be triggering for some people. I don't think it has to be triggering for anyone, or especially you, but that's kind of what's unfolding here. It's a whole lot of growth and understanding why you're here, and how you connect with not just your earthly beings, but your star kind of like being self as well. Star family, let's say. All right, what do the tarot have to say? You've got the Strength card coming through. You have the Page of Swords. More learning, right? There's a lot of learning. She's kind of cool in this one because she has like an idea and she follows her own idea instead of following someone else's. I always say that in science. It's like, I'm going to follow this person's way of doing things. And it's like, well, then where's the science? Where's the like uncovering? And it's like, oh, it's in this tiny little variation. I'm like, okay, maybe that's their path, right? But like, where's this real kind of inventors and shakers? Like, what's happening with them? Are they getting like taken out by some organization or something? Like, where are they? What's happening? I know there's lots of stuff going on, but that's positive, right? In the backgrounds and stuff, but just like, I don't like, this is maybe just personal, but maybe you can resonate in some way, and for some reason I just say it. I don't like when something's invented and created, and then it's patented, and then it's priced at a huge amount. And it's like, to me, science and invention is supposed to help the collective, right? It's like, yes, you should gain something from it, or like be rewarded. But is it really rewarding if you gain, like, if a pill you made is patented that costs 20 cents to make and you're selling it for $1,000? Like, does that feel good? I don't know. I feel like that's bullshit, really. But hey, who am I? I'm just some tarot reader. All right, so you've got the Strength card as well. Overcoming some old fears, it could come through as well, or just seeing that your fears were never really there to harm you. They were actually messages of information for you to take in and decide whether it's true or not. You've got the Three of Swords, got heartbreak here, or like something that pulls on the heartstrings. This is the most devastating Three of Swords I've ever seen in any deck, because you can see where the ties are, and it's like, she's attached to this, she's attached to that, she's attached to this, and it's dying, right? Because it's done. It's kind of like when we go through a breakup. But what about at the start of the relationship? You said this, and it's like been 6 years, right? And it's like, yeah, because things change, right? Love changes, things change. And so when we get super attached that our happiness is based on what other people do, it makes it harder when we lose it. So it's kind of like lessons learned, right? Here, lessons learned, which can make us kind of, we can take it many different ways, but it can, with this card coming through, he's intelligent, he trusts his intuition, he's trusting the logic and the strategy and the kind of like idea of things, but also he can get into a point where he's numb to change, and he's just like bored almost of this world. It's kind of like how it's funny because in some ways it's like, how could you be bored of this world? There's so much crazy shit happening. And then on the other hand, it's boring. So it's like both can be true. It's just depends on which lens you look at things. Try to see it as, why do I feel this towards this? Why do I feel towards, like, why do I feel like that towards that? Because you might be starting to shift some stuff is what I'm kind of trying to get to. Shift some stuff that's shadowy that you're holding on to. If you're not ready to deal with that, you might think I have nothing like that. Absolutely fine, then you don't, right? But if you do, it might be time for you who are like resonating with that message to start looking at those shadows and start letting go and recognizing that that doesn't make you weak to admit your feelings. It's like, I don't want to say this makes you weak, but I also want to say it's like, it makes you weak to cover them and try to stand strong. That's not strength, that's delusion, basically. All right, let's have a look at these two. Then we'll finish up. So finishing up with two mages, you've got the Chariot and the Empress. This idea of rebirth is really strong here. I'm going to put because she's like pregnant with the earth. It's like you are part of the rebirth of New Earth, right? Depending on what you do. That's not to give you a heart attack and say, oh my God, if I do something wrong, the whole world's going to be screwed over. Don't think of it like that. See it as like you're here amongst everyone that's here, all the billions of people that are on this earth, to create to welcome in a new world, which, can be of a new consciousness of love, or it could be of exactly what we've already experienced in this world, which is the 3D energy of like, I win, you lose, of me, that kind of thing. We're experiencing it now, and we all go through it, no matter how enlightened you are, because we're here and we're part of the collective. Obviously, in varying degrees, some people want more because, I don't know, they feel that's power or that's going to give them some kind of like high five or something. I don't really know, but it's more for you to uncover. There is something here though, so don't be afraid to look at these things. Overall though, you're on a path of ascension, you're learning a huge amount. There's growth, knowledge, learning all here, all throughout, and progress, right? With not so much holding back your light or your shadow or advancing one or the other. It's in tandem. We can't leave the things that make us, pull us into our shadows. We can't beat it down. Like, shadow work isn't about slicing the head off the ego or the shadow. It's actually about understanding how it works within our existence and what we can do to shift and work with it, I guess, is the best way I can put it. But this birthing idea is very strong here. The womb, the seed, and a pregnant woman, right? Literally holding the earth. So you're here to plant new seeds. What seeds are you going to plant is up to you. Do you plant them out of fear or revenge or punishment? Or do you want to plant new seeds of new consciousness of love, a new way of thinking, feeling, of community, of this ever expansive kind of like knowledge, right? You might even be here to bring in new knowledge as well, which is going to come through you uniquely. I wouldn't be able to read on that unless I was reading you individually. So a lot to go through here, right? There's a lot here. None of this is really set in stone or to pull you into whichever direction, but it is like a nice message of you are growing towards abundance, to wealth, really. And that's not just money. It can have that involved, but it's really about wealth. To me is like fulfilling dreams or fulfilling ideas that are going to be beneficial to not just me, but to my family, my collective, the world, in however way that is. And it can be in ways that we haven't even thought of yet. So not just 3D ways, but even focusing in on being kind every day can shift so many people's worlds if we're kind to everybody, you know, that can really shift. And that doesn't mean we let people walk all over us, but we don't allow their shittiness to alter our truth, right? People want to fight sometimes. You don't have to fight in their little games. Like, let them play their games. Let them play in the dirt, right? You know, you can rise above it. Not to say that they're lesser than you. It's just like, you're not going to play into the dirt. If they want to play in the dirt, let them play in the dirt, and they may enjoy the dirt for a while until they've finished that level of the game, so to speak. Okay, I think that's it. I think I've talked enough. It is almost 5:55 over here, so it's getting a little bit darker. I'm just going to leave this with you. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and hopefully this helps you understand you, really. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them into the comments. If you like the video, give the video a thumbs up. And yeah, take care, Pile 3. Look after yourself, look after the world, really. Sorry to put it on your shoulders. Or in your belly, right? Pregnant. Take care, and I'll see you next time.